Hi YouTube manual reviewer, I hope you are doing well. What you're going to see in this video is 100% legally semi-automatic. All magazines are 100% in compliance with the YouTube policy. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I hope you have a wonderful day. Gentlemen, for years, the Benelli M4 was considered the king of combat shotguns, renowned for its rugged reliability, beautiful aesthetics, and sheer Italian sex appeal. That is, until a new shotgun dethroned it. And the shotgun that would dethrone the king, the Genesis 12.
Drop the knife! Drop the knife!
I ain't dropping it!
Drop it!
No!
Drop it! Drop the knife!
It's not happening! It's okay. I got this. All right, Carlos. I got less lethal in here. If you don't drop the knife, you're gonna get hit with a bunch of beanbags.
I ain't going back to jail.
You don't want this smoke.
Hit me!
I'm tickled you said that.
I thought that was less lethal.
It is less lethal. I got orange on my mag.
That's red.
I'm colorblind. Okay. That's insane.
Benjamin Netanyahu, return my gas mileage!
It's wild. It's diabolical. In the beginnings, God created the heavens and the earth, and he saw that it was Genesis 12. Hey, you just gotta look at our greatest shotgun, okay? Genesis 12:3. Blessed are those who bless the Genesis 12, for ye shall be blessed yourselves. Now, as our beloved Brandon Herrera would say, shotguns are base. But within recent years in the firearms zeitgeist of dudes that are concerned about preparedness, whether that's defending one's home from crime or defending the ideas of what makes America America from tyrannical powers, they have shifted gears away from the shotgun, seeing it as a lesser tool. You know, it's less desirable than what intermediate cartridges or other platforms in general offer, right? Semi-automatic to fully automatic firearms chambered in a rifle cartridge have much more versatility in the minds of most. And you're not technically wrong, right? Like an AR-15 is pretty dang good at what it can do. That being said, shotguns are just as versatile, and within the right distance, they are very good at what they do. Now, when it comes to the normal person, a person that is not obsessed with firearms, chances are this is probably not you watching this, but for most people, they think of a shotgun as an excellent home defense tool. You just rack the pump, and the criminal's gonna piss themselves. It's kind of like the FUD lore behind it. Or all you have to do is just point it in the general direction and let loose the fury of birdshot to scare off that wannabe crook. This, in theory, absolutely can get the job done. If it fires buckshot, it's gonna do a good job. But this is also very outdated and does not live up to the potential of what a combat shotgun could be. A shotgun designed for more tactical use case. You know, the Benelli M4, the Beretta 1301 has been kind of seen as the kings of the combat shotguns that most people can get. There are, of course, other shotguns out there that are much more impressive of a resume in terms of what they offer mechanically, but for the longest time, that was it, right? There are other shotguns of the Benelli family, maybe the Beretta family, but those were regarded as the kings of the shotgun hill until Genesis 12 comes along. Gentlemen, I apologize, but the business that is administrative results has to stay in the black real quick. Onyx Off-Road, a wonderful app for helping you in your off-road expeditions. There's more to it, I gotta add! They have guided trails. Their coast-to-coast team of trail guides have hit the dirt to create a guided trail, complete with photos, descriptions, difficulty ratings, and more so that you can know before you go. I do love the offline maps. Download an offline map before adventure so that you can always have the power of Onyx Off-Road no matter if you have call service or not. And whether from heaven to the throne, he who travels fastest travels alone, but it's not as fun. You wanna have friends friends. And to have friends on these trips, you gotta have some folder sharing capabilities, and Onyx Off-Road has that. Share that information with your route planning, and you and your boys can stay together on your Hobbit's journey throughout Middle-earth. The back trails, looking for cryptids. I have a link to Onyx Off-Road in the description down below.
Americana Pipe Dream Apparel. They're now old Zoomers. They're getting to Unk status. Who would have thought? Time is an unrelenting mistress, but what they do have is night vision knives, manuals, e-bikes, military surplus, and American-made clothing. I like these guys a lot. They've helped out the channel a bunch, and they want to help out your wardrobe and other nerdy autistic obsessions. Code ADMIC to 10% off. Optics Planet. Optics Planet! Listen, fellas, we live on a planet. We need optics. It works out, okay? Big thank you to Optics Planet for helping out the channel. And of course, Badlands Munitions, the ammo sponsor. They provide the channel with ammo, and in turn, I tell you about them. 7.62, 5.56, 9mm, 300 blackout, a bunch of cool rounds that they're always cooking up, and I appreciate those guys very much. Local Arizona company. Thank you for watching this ad segment. If you didn't fast forward and you were away from your phone because you were like taking a dump or making some food, I don't know, but back to the Genesis 12! Now listen, let's be frank, by now you should know what the Genesis 12 shotgun is. There's been a plethora of dancing YouTuber monkeys on the internet making videos all about it. And that's all good and dandy. I can't fault a YouTuber for getting after it and wanting to make a video on it. I'm very much late to the game, so this is my first crack at getting the Genesis 12 onto the airwaves of the Administrative Results show. Now, I would not just bring you any old Genesis 12 shotgun video, right? They've been done a dime a dozen. So because I am romantically interested in you, I've brought you something special about the Genesis 12 shotgun. You probably already noticed all my disclaimers I did for it because it's like the Gulag here for gun tubers. But that would be a forced reset trigger inside the Genesis 12 shotgun. Wow! They did it! They can allegedly put a man on the moon, and they can put a trip bar in a Genesis 12 shotgun. This is the skinny on the sitch. God, dude, this rock is so uncomfy up my ass. So this is the skinny on the sitch. We have this Genesis 12 shotgun. My boys over at East Valley Tactical. I've been doing some work with them for a bit now. They have worked on developing this forced reset trigger for the Genesis 12 shotgun. Originally, this has been kind of a journey. Like, we filmed a whole segment with Eric way back when I first picked it up and he installed it all. And then what ended up happening is they improved upon the design. And we finally get out and the gun starts working well. Now, that being said, I think mine is still just a little picky, if I'm being honest. Eric's PDS worked a lot better, and I will say that maybe I should have gotten one of those. That's cooking way better.
Yeah.
Why does yours better than mine? The recoil anticipation, everyone's flinched so far. Whoa! That was slugs, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can see the recoil on that one.
Now, how did I get a Genesis 12? I got to do a disclaimer. So, this is the story all about how my life got turned into 12 gauge chow. That was a stretch, bro.
I liked it.
I'm sorry. So I hit up Genesis 12. I said, hey, I'm working on this drone video, and I also have this other project where I'm getting wind of Eric's FRT. I think it could be a good option. And they were down to clown. So they sent out a Genesis 12 shotgun. Sadly, the Genesis 12 didn't show up how I wanted it to in the drone round video. I was kind of like waiting to see if any more drone ammo showed up for a 12 gauge to compare it against 5.56, but sadly that just didn't line up and didn't work out. We did get to compare like grouping of a 12 gauge with the FRT on paper against the 5.56 drone round. What does show up on the channel is actually really ripping it with the FRT installed in the gun. That to me is the most exciting thing about this video, the fact that you can kind of have this AA-12 at home. There's a few male fantasies that I have, right? Sailing off into the sunset with a beautiful woman that has dimples above her buttocks, driving a fast sports car to Panda Express, and of course, having a fully automatic shotgun. Now, this is by no means legally a fully automatic shotgun, but damn, can you run this thing very fast. And it gets us in the ballpark. Now, I have titled this video, the AA-12 we have at home, and it really is. I don't know if I'll ever get my hands on an AA-12 for my own personal collection. I don't want to give up hope yet. I want to stay optimistic. But this gets us pretty close in the ballpark. You have a magazine system, you have a drum system. All of these are YouTube compliant magazines. I gotta say it again because YouTube, God forbid YouTube here. Strike me down, algorithm, strike me down. I hate it here. But it's kind of like we're getting in the ballpark of an AA-12, and that to me is exciting. That is exhilarating. What is sexier? What is more power fantasy than a fast shooting shotgun? How do you quantify that, dude? It's just raw American aggression. You jump into the trench, all the Germans go Scheiße, and you go ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. You were an unsupervised 19-year-old doughboy. You were using a Winchester 1897. Me, the time traveler, comes out of nowhere. Hey, dude, take this. Pretty dang good. Yeah, my dumb ass just went in and out with it. All right, now when shooting the gun, the experience with this FRT and the Genesis 12, I will say, let me caveat this, never shot an AA-12, but from what it looks like, the recoil system in there mitigates a lot of that recoil very well. And that thing is purpose-driven from the ground up, originally I believe to be a machine gun. That's why there was all this legal hiccup around it back in the day. This hoopla from the feds saying you can't have an AA-12. Well, here we are, fast forward. We're getting in the ballpark, guys. Now, the recoil impulse of the gun, especially if you start throwing in some 3-inch shells, man, you're gonna have to ride the lightning. You're gonna have to hold on for dear life and hump
that bull into submission.
You are not going to survive. You gotta be a man. Got 10 rounds of 3-inch double-aught buck. Should be about 15 balls in there. See how she rides with the FRT. Oh my God. That took me for a ride, dude, not gonna lie. Everything, front sight loosened up. The recoil is very stout on this gun. You gotta respect it if you switch it over to the FRT mode. And regular to shooting, buck, birdshot, slugs, you know, it's a stout 12 gauge. It's not anything more than you're not used to. The buffer system in there, all the recoil stuff, it actually works out pretty well in semi. And that's honestly where most of us, if we play the hypothetical, okay? Okay, Johnny Rambo, if you're out there, if we play the hypothetical, the world ends, you grab your Genesis 12, the Ruskies are falling from the sky, the HOA enforcers trying to kill you, you're probably gonna be running the shotgun and semi-automatic most of the time. There's a rare exception where I think the FRT mode in the circumstances would just be devastating wonderful. The fact that we have the FRT option is beautiful. I love it very much. Now, everyone always thinks of shotguns as these super CQB weapons, point blank trench warfare. And in some degrees, you're absolutely right. That being said, you can push some rifled slugs out to, air quotes, distance. That's what we're gonna do right now. Got some federal rifled slugs, 1 ounces. Got a cardboard and a steel. Cardboard is probably about 100, steel's maybe 140 maybe. Rough estimate. Cannot find my laser rangefinder to save my life. Don't know what kind of show we got going on here. I'm having fun though. Hey Colton, you having fun?
I'm having fun.
Shut up. From a seated position. Kind of reminds me of like shooting a musket. You know, you got a man-sized torso out there. That was 5 on the torso. Looked a little precarious. I'll go send some at that steel out there. Old girl should be zeroed. Oh, just right. Of course, dude. During the YouTube demonstration, I wet the bed. 2 out of 10 slugs on target. They were in an accurate little zone though. It was just going like left, right, center, top, rear sight's loose again. Man, dude, this shotgun just beats itself apart. Cannot drop my knife or anything attached to it while I'm up here, or else it'll fall into the crevasse of this reptile valley we're in. I suppressed him, dude, with the slugs. He was like, oh God, dude. I think my optics definitely holding a bit right. That's why I had to hold so far left edge on that steel out there. God dang it, Bobby. If you have a good 0, you can hit the freaking cardboard. All right, now I want to cover something that's very near to most of our hearts, and that would be the gear that kind of goes along with this shotgun, because I kind of have a whole diatribe that goes along with this. So there's a funny little story and something I observed when I was looking at the Genesis 12 Instagram social media page. And one funny trend that kept popping out to me was this really cool photos of these high-speed guys running the Gen 12 for the photo, and it looked cool. Something stood out though. So all of these photos I was mainly seeing, most of them, like 99% of them, really no one had spare Genesis 12 mags on their person. It was very rare. Typically you see some sort of law enforcement, military kind of like personnel, or a civilian even. The civilian shooters probably had the most spare mags on because they're like running a competition with the Terran tactical version of the Genesis 12, the 18-inch. That was really the only exception. For all of the high-speed guys, they had no backup mags that I could see on their kit when they were running a Genesis 12. So it kind of spawned this idea, because I know when I saw that, because I was looking for a specific reason. And the reason was, what the hell kind of mag pouches do you use with these 10-round mags? These are gargantuan in terms of magazines. You're running like almost the thickness of a G27 mag with double the length, and it's just an awkward shape. How do you come up with that? What freaking, like if you put it in a plate carrier, you like look down and you're gonna hit yourself in the chin with this style of magazine. It's actually kind of a logistical headache in that sense. So while the Genesis 12 shotgun is a phenomenal shotgun, one of the weird things about it is just the 10-round magazines because of the shotgun shell size. So you have to work around that in a weird way. I kind of came up with this rig. It's an old gray shop rig. I think they're from Russia. And I kind of was like looking at it, going through all of my gear. What's the most modern? What's the most roomy? And somehow I came up with this thing. Despite me even making my own rigs, this is what I ended up settling on because it just worked out the best for individual mag pouches and the amount of magazines that I had and wanted to carry on me. Now the 5-round magazines, they actually fit in a lot of good places, right? They're not too long, they only hold 5 rounds, and you can stuff them in mag pouches. When I had the cop kit on for this video, I had it on the hip. The idea was, typically in law enforcement world, you're not trying to go through like a rolling gunfight if you were trying to be in the military, but the idea is like you're dealing with like one armed violent suspect, and if you can't get it done in a mag, it's gonna be a rough day. But the spare mag is what it's there for. So, I mean, trying to just stack all this on in the hypotheticals, right? I got the spare dump pouches. Now, let me back up real quick. Normally, at this point in my YouTube career, I don't think I'd be getting too deep into the weeds about kit this much, because one thing I kind of realized, a while ago is that everyone kind of has all these weird preferences when it comes to like tactical gear and how they want to set it up or how they want it to look. So I get it. So it's kind of a nice throwback to the old admin days where we would cover that stuff. Anyway, 2 dump pouches, and the fun thing about the dump pouches is they fit the drum magazines very well. Probably not the idyllic setup for a drum magazine, but it gets the job done. And then of course you can stack your stick mags in here, which are much more wieldy than a drum magazine. And of course the 5-rounders if you had specialty ammo or different styles of rounds loaded for whatever you may encounter. That's the beautiful thing about a shotgun, is they are very versatile weapons with a style of ammo you can carry. Now that I have the AA-12 at home, perhaps I can get some frag rounds and I can have my own version of the meta battlefield setup at home.
Watch this.
Something's wrong. The sun hasn't moved since we got here. Now there's a very specific inspiration for how I've set up this Genesis 12 shotgun. And that comes from the 2010, I believe, movie Predators.
Just what the hell is going on here?
This is a game preserve, and we're the game.
But in that movie, Adrian Brody's character uses a AA-12, and it's kind of fitted out in a really cool way. Already loving the AA-12, already titling the video of this, the AA-12 we have at home. The idea was really kind of just get it in the ballpark, I guess. It's not necessarily 100%. We got a drum mag, we have the old Surefire grip light, couldn't insert what it is, like totally blanking off the top of my head. Some backup irons. For the sake of shooting this, with the idea of keeping my face kind of to be able to float and look through a red dot, I have this EOTech EXPS3 on a Unity riser. This also came loose, and that's a whole nother topic where this gun with the attachments is just beating itself apart. The recoil is brutal. 12-gauge shotguns are very much known to recoil. So ideally what I should have done is just lock tight down everything. I might need some Loctite for this setup. Turns out 12 gauge got a little bit of recoil. Watch my EOTech dance. All right, today we're taking a look at the Genesis 12 shotgun. Hey Mike, you know what, thanks for having me on. You know, the Genesis 12 shotgun, a fantastic weapons platform when it comes to biomechanics of using a 12 gauge.
Thank you, Travis. I really appreciate that. Wow.
I think I'm losing my mind. All right, sitting back looking at the Genesis 12 shotgun, what we kind of have to look at is a bigger view. The end users picking this thing up. So the shotgun has been getting picked up by a number of countries. I think I saw on Instagram, Streaking Delilah posted an interesting thing with some Genesis 12 shotguns around the world. A big adopter, funny enough, is the IDF. A lot of their prison guys are running the Genesis 12 shotgun. So take that. Take it how you want, dude. I guess it's Old Testament enough for the Hebrews. Another thing that I know about is the Australians testing out the Genesis 12 shotgun for anti-drone considerations, and I think this is really interesting. I've seen a lot of police units, at least photos, of guys with Genesis 12 shotguns rigged up in their kit as a breaching tool. The idea, you unsling it, you get it in that door jamb, or however you want to breach that door, and you let those breaching rounds work. On the anti-drone side, it's interesting to see it because in that configuration, how they have it set up, they're not running this big, long Genesis 12 shotgun. So funny enough, when I was asking for the Genesis 12, I was like, yo, I kind of want an 18-inch barrel. I have this idea for what I want to do in my head. And they're like, dude, check it out. So the short barrel shotgun, the 10.5 that we're going to send you, actually has very similar patterning to a 18-inch shotgun. And I was like, get out of here. And like, no, trust me. Like, so sure enough, when you're seeing these guys trying to do the counter drone stuff with the Genesis 12, they're still running short barrels out of their shotgun, which I thought is very fascinating. Now, they do also have chokes that you can throw on the shotgun, like a very extended choke to help out if you wanted to. And that's a very interesting option. Pop culture, usual admin video. What is it without a pop culture reference? The biggest one the Genesis 12 has is absolutely John Wick. It's one of the newer ones that came out recently with like a Terran Tactical Genesis 12 running around with like a Dragon's Breath rounds. That's the one I can think of off the top of my head. A funny thing about shotguns, especially like a Genesis 12 shotgun, especially if it was a rapid fire shotgun, if you throw it into like any first person shooter, they tend to become very overpowered in a certain sense. So they just gotta like taper off the range drastically. There's very few games in video game world that I can think of where it actually does like shotguns justice of having decent range. Probably Hell Let Loose with buckshot rounds can shoot pretty far and still remain lethal. That's it off the top of my head. Maybe some other games like Squad or something, I don't know. Maybe Insurgency, I think it's Insurgency, one of the others. Now getting out of the pop culture reference and back into the tactical world, in recent years, the 12 gauge shotgun has been seen as a antiquated tool for a job. Now, I'm not here to argue when or where you should use a shotgun. If you're an end user and you're like, oh yeah, the shotgun makes sense for us in this setting, by all means go buck wild. That's always gonna be up to an organization, an institution, the individual to figure out when and where a shotgun is appropriate for them. That being said, shotguns, man, they're so American. Like the guys that really take shotguns into conflict, that have a big track record of it, have been America. World War I, World War II, Vietnam, global war on terror. Dudes just taking shotguns into places where normal countries are probably like, you know what, we don't want a shotgun. The Americans are like, yo, I'm closing the gap. Does a bayonet come on this? Please. Maybe that's my biggest criticism of the Genesis 12, there's not a bayonet lug on here. Should be. Gentlemen, I want to put a bow on this video, the whole kit and caboodle. Overall, really exciting to have an FRT for the Genesis 12. I think the platform overall is very cool, and it's just exciting to see something like this come out of this era. We really are living in a slight renaissance of firearms technology in the space right now. Of course, a big thank you to East Valley Tactical for helping us out with getting the job done, because without them, the video would not exist. I got nothing else for you guys. I'll catch you on the flip.
Then we got him. Then we got the target. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.